right, so there it is, Ryan Armani with a look at the Tar Heels. Ryan, we appreciate that. Let's bring in our next roundtable guest, Bob Winowski from the Detroit News, Jamie Samuelson from the Riff Morning Show. Guys, when you talk about Carolina, I mean, they have the history, they have the pedigree, they have the expectations. They seem to have everything going into this game, but you don't play games based on expectations.
No, and
or else Michigan State would have been out.
Yeah, probably. They're very talented. North Carolina is very talented. But this is one thing that has emerged. It's like damning the Spartans with praise. Like, we talk about how tough they are, and people forget that those Michigan State players are pretty highly recruited as well. And they are a 2-seed. Delvon Rowe broke Roy Williams' heart and went to Michigan State. Kalen Lucas was a very highly recruited guy. North Carolina is more talented, but Michigan State's pretty darn talented.
They're very talented, and I think people are going to make the mistake once again of saying, oh, the 2 or 3 best players on the floor are going to be wearing blue and white. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true anymore. Ty Lawson's a better point guard. Is that necessarily true anymore, the way Kalen Lucas has emerged this tournament? I feel like if we've gone along, and we've known it here in Michigan.
Kalen Lucas, heck, Corey Lucius.
Corey Lucius,
yeah. Right, yeah.
But I mean,
in the zone, man.
But don't you feel like the rest of America's kind of like, wow, Michigan State's pretty good? It's like, well, of course they are, and they've been pretty good for the last decade. I mean, I don't know why this is such a revelation.
How can a team that has been to 5 Final Fours in 11 years travel under the radar a little bit? Because I think it's fair to say they have.
I do think it's a product of the Big Ten, which is unfair.
Right.
I think the Big Ten has distinguished itself in this tournament largely because of Michigan State as not as crappy as people make it out to be. Drew Sharp.
And maybe even pretty good.
Yeah. And maybe even pretty good, seriously.
And I really think that really helped them beating Connecticut like they did, because
how many Big East teams are left?
Hold on, I'm kind of up.
And how many Michigan State knocked off on the way?
0.
Good point.
And they could knock off a 3rd straight #1 seed, which I think Arizona was the only one that did that back in '97. And that's big because, you know, you're beating the powerhouses now, because as many Final Fours as Michigan State's been to, they hadn't gotten to the title games since 2000. And I think that makes a huge. You're going to see tomorrow night. That's a huge difference.
You know, when I started thinking about, okay, who are the winners so far in this thing, the one name that jumped up, we talked about it earlier with Tim, is Tom Izzo. Because when you look at what he's done, and again, we talked about this a moment ago, Bill Self, Rick Pitino, Jim Calhoun, and again, I think you would be foolish to say that he didn't out-coach some of them along the way.
He out-coached Jim Calhoun the other night, I thought, completely. But when you say, like, Tom Izzo, absolutely huge winner, but you know, I don't think it's bigger than that. I think Michigan State overall, you know, you got Magic Johnson back there, Mark D'Antonio's in the stand, and the green is all over the state. I think Michigan State as a school has really been a huge
There's no doubt. And these players have, like I said, Lucas, I think, is now a national name. But Izzo, I think, has taken the next step now. And I don't know that there's a better coach in college basketball. I really don't. And you mentioned the names that you listed off. But if you're hiring a guy to run your program, who are you going to hire? If you put all the names out there.
Oh, I already said, if I had been running Kentucky, I would have had his answer first. Now, maybe they did. Maybe they did. But I would have had Tom Izzo's answer before I went and hired anybody else.
And I'm not trying to push him away, because I want him to stay here. I'm not saying, oh, go get there.
I'm not saying he'd leave. I'm just saying, if I run the program, I'm going to get his answer.
But he's going to head-to-head with Roy tomorrow, and then people are going to say, oh, good old Roy, he's the best coach. Roy's coached at Kansas and North Carolina. You just said at the start of this, they got everything on their side. The tradition, the pedigree, the expectations. Tom Izzo took Michigan State, which was always a good program, and Judd had the big year in '79, but nothing spectacular, and he turned it into himself, with the help of his players, but himself, a top 5 program. What's better than that?
Right, and what he does too, and not many some coaches will just get, you know, well, the best player, that's our best recruit, let's get him. Izzo gets guys that he likes, that reflect his image, that fit, and when he doesn't have guys that fit, he doesn't have as good a team.
You know what else is part of the dynamic here that he has done, and maybe it's one of the reasons that he doesn't get a lot of credit, because sometimes people like a villain? This program and Tom Izzo have remained eminently likable. You can't say that about a lot of the top-flight programs.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, North Carolina's got its detractors. There are those out there that can't stand Duke.
Yeah.
But this team is just, their kids and their coach are extremely likable.
And they play hard. And Izzo coaches hard. And people love that when you see the snapshots on the sideline during games.
Yeah.
People absolutely love that.
And as opposed to a lot of programs where the kids come in for a year and then leave, these kids, you know, they're led by seniors. I mean, they have kids who stay for 4 years. They do kind of do it the right way. So it's easy to like them. Definitely is.
All right, that's the easy part, guys. Who wins? Wojo?
What, you're asking me who wins? I've gotten every game wrong. I've pretty much gotten every game wrong the last few. You know, that's really. I think Michigan State is
Did I stump you? Have you not thought about this at all?
No, because he picked Louisville and he picked Connecticut, so he's scared now.
I
You're running
picked Michigan
scared.
State to beat Kansas. I did do that.
Nice
And Robert Morris, right?
I wouldn't be stunned if Michigan State, but I think North Carolina is a little bit better. A little bit better.
I think Michigan State's a little bit better, and I think they're going to prove it tomorrow night. I mean, I don't necessarily buy into the whole team of destiny thing, but I think as we're going along here, we're realizing Izzo's better than we thought, Lucas is better than we thought, Lucius is better than we thought. All these guys are a little better than we thought, and they are.
Darrell
I think they're going to be better tomorrow night.
Would that
Any
be
others?
a party tomorrow night if Michigan State was to win that game? It'd be a good time down. It's going to be a good time anyway. We'll come back with these guys in just a couple of minutes. We've got plenty more coming up right here on this edition of The Works. We'll take a look at what happened on the NASCAR Circuit. Plus, golf final event before Augusta. That's coming up as well. Stick with us.